afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
I want to thank you all for being here today, and as we like to say, the sun is certainly shining bright on the city of St. Petersburg today. My thanks to my Deputy Mayor, Dr. Kanika Tomlin, for her leadership and wise counsel on issues like this. Thanks also to Trevor Burgess from C1 Bank, to Brian Auld from the Tampa Bay Rays for standing here with us today. I am proud the Rays and C1 Bank are a part of the Sunshine City. By raising the minimum wage in their own organizations, they are joining us in leading the way for the rest of the nation. Today, we are honored to have with us our nation's 26th Secretary of Labor, Thomas Perez. We are especially honored that he is here to highlight such an important issue, paid leave. This year, the city of St. Petersburg began providing 6 weeks of paid leave for both moms and dads. And this includes adoption and foster intake. And we did it because, number one, it's the right thing to do for people who work so hard for us. It allows parents and their babies to spend more quality, stress-free time together during the most important time of their lives. But we also did it because it makes us a more attractive place to work. And in our vision statement, it says we will be an innovative, creative, and competitive community. And this means that the city of St. Petersburg is going to compete with both the private and public sector for smart, young professionals. And paid leave is just one of our City of Opportunity initiatives, meant to improve lives and make the city an attractive place to work. As many of you know, we have raised the minimum wage for our employees. We have banned the box, which allows those convicted of a felony to apply for a job and to get a fair shake. And our City Council recently approved a mandatory apprentice program that would require contractors to hire apprentices for city projects that cost more than $2 million. In St. Petersburg, we are getting people back to work, and then we're working to make their lives better once they're here. And this is why we say that the sun shines here. And this is why we've earned a visit from the Obama administration and Secretary Perez. Now, before I ask my small business liaison, Jessica Eilerman, to speak and to introduce Secretary Perez, I'd like to ask Brian Auld from the Tampa Bay Rays and Trevor Burgess from C1 Bank to say a few words about what they've done to make their organizations a better place to work. Brian, we're going to start with you and then Trevor. And Brian, you should be feeling pretty good right now after the win over the Yankees last night, I would imagine. So we'll let you talk a little bit and lead off by talking a little bit about the Rays and your minimum wage and family leave policy. Right?
Thank you. It's a great honor to be here representing the Tampa Bay Rays, and it's great to hear about so many of the things we've seen the city of St. Petersburg do. At the Tampa Bay Rays, our mission is to energize our community through the magic of Major League Baseball. And we believe that the best way to do that, by far, is to put our employees first. When I say that, what I mean is that if we can get the right people in the right places and give them the resources that they need to do their jobs, the rest of our business will take care of itself. I've often been heard saying around Tropicana Field that all of our employees, from Evan Longoria through Kevin Cash, through our senior management, all the way to our frontline workers, they could probably make more money doing something else. But our organization is so strong because the employees we have choose to be part of the Rays organization because it's a place that cares about them. Chief among the ways that we do that is by offering a lot of flexibility. Every employee gets a minimum of 3 paid weeks per year. We provide maternity and paternity leave. We provide adoption allowances to help with that situation as well. We're incredibly proud of our company-wide policy that encourages staff to take 1 paid day off per month simply to volunteer in their community. Many of our parents choose simply to visit their schools and participate in their children's classrooms. Others choose to work with any number of nonprofits, strengthening those organizations. For me, selfishly, it provides a more connected, better adjusted, stronger workforce that allows us to do our jobs better each and every day. So I'm incredibly proud of the work that we're done. I'm very honored to have been asked to speak today, and I'm grateful to the Secretary of Labor for being here recognizing us. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. And before Trevor comes up, I want to recognize Councilmember Bill Dudley is with us. Thank you, Bill, for being here, and thank you for your support of these initiatives. We also have representatives from Congresswoman Castor's office and Senator Nelson's office who are with us here. Thank you all for being here with us today, too. And next, Trevor Burgess from C1 Bank, and I want to give Trevor the props that are due him because he rolled out his plan before we had a chance to do it, and he has really been forward-thinking in everything that his bank is doing, not only to add to our community, but to add to his workplace. So, Trevor?
I'll be very brief so that the secretary doesn't melt up here. I just wanted to thank the secretary for joining us today in this wonderful city. I chose 5 years ago to make this the headquarters for the best business bank in the state of Florida, C1 Bank. I chose the city of St. Petersburg because it's such a progressive city. It's a city that's on the rise, and I think is one of the great southern cities in the United States. I was raised by a single mother in New Hampshire, and I really owe a lot of my ethical foundation to her leadership. I got her to move to St. Pete also, which is really good for me and for my daughter. My mother worked at the minimum wage, and so I have a very live understanding of what that means. And 1.5 years ago, I looked at our employee base, and I saw that 26 people were making less than what I consider to be a living wage, which I pegged with some help from MIT at about $30,000 a year. And I was willing to make less, and my shareholders were willing to make a little bit less in order for those 26 people to all be able to work at a living wage. One of the most striking things about it, though, and one of the most telling things, was that all 26 of those people were women. And the 3 women who were making the least, I was paying way above minimum wage, but the people who were making the least all happened to be single mothers. So it really hit home for me. But ultimately, this comes down to businesses doing the right thing. And if your focus is on doing the right thing every day, you're going to be really successful. And I really attribute a lot of the success of C1 Bank to our goal of doing the right thing every day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Trevor. Also joining us is Councilmember Wengay Newton. I want to recognize him. To introduce the secretary today is my small business liaison, Jessica Eilerman. Jessica joined the city in January of 2014, and she gave birth to Vincent Gabriel in January of this year and became one of our first employees to utilize our paid parental leave. So it is my honor to introduce to you Jessica Eilerman. Jessica?
All right. Thank you, Mayor Kriseman. It is a great privilege to share my story with you today. My name is Jessica, and like many of you, I wear many hats. It is my honor to serve as the Small Business Liaison, and in this capacity, I promote economic development, small business and independent businesses, and I help them navigate city government, lead the Mayor's Small Business Tour Series, and formulate policy aimed at helping St. Petersburg small businesses thrive. I'm a community volunteer, a wife, and a new mother. Having spent my whole career working with and advocating for the needs of business, I have an awareness of the impacts family leave policies can have on both businesses and employees alike. However, I am embarrassed to say that I did not give it ample thought, thinking I wouldn't have to personally experience those challenges. However, last spring, my husband and I learned that we were expecting our first child. We were overjoyed. As we dreamed about our little one, many realities of adding a new life to our family started to sink in. We started crunching numbers. Our joy quickly turned to worry and concern. Like most young couples, we were worried about our jobs. Would we have flexibility? Would we be supported? And could we afford this? Thankfully, the Family Medical Leave Act has provisions for expecting families, allowing 12 weeks of unpaid leave. That is something, at least I've had a job to come back to. But taking 12 weeks of unpaid time off seemed impossible to conquer. Just about as impossible as the thought of not spending these essential first weeks with my newborn and for my own healing. After all, a mother must be able to heal and take care of herself before she can appropriately care for another. So we felt we were in a bind. How do you choose between entering financial hardship or spending time establishing and developing your family's bond, laying the foundation for my newborn's growth and development? This is a challenge that many couples face, not just in St. Petersburg, but throughout America. Thankfully, our mayor recognized this challenge for expecting parents throughout the city and announced a change to our leave policies. This changed our lives quite literally because we no longer had to choose between our career and our child. You know, here in St. Petersburg, we talk about being a city of opportunity that is focused on helping to make all lives better, even our youngest lives. We know that we must invest in people. This is a strong step in that right direction where we stand up and say our families are important and this paid leave is vital to our success as an organization. A strong, healthy family unit is the foundation of a strong, productive, and happy employee. Often the most valuable asset to a company is its people. This policy is not only a great recruitment tool to attract the best and brightest, it also helps boost the morale of the current workforce. Businesses see loyalty, pride, and a strong sense of purpose in return for their investment to the whole employee. Further, and importantly, this was a budget-neutral item. It is not just for our city employees alone, however. We hope our action inspires the business community to examine their policies and to take similar steps. When Mayor first took office, he shared sage advice to his team and to the entire management staff. There will be another mayor, another person in your job at some time or another, but your family only has one you. What an honor it is to work with someone who doesn't just talk the talk, but walks the walk.
Great job.
It doesn't go past me that I was in labor managing contractions as I listened to President Obama's State of the Union address, where he highlighted the importance of achieving greater workplace flexibility. That by doing so better reflects who we are as a nation, and that this in fact is an issue that positively impacts our economy. I heard his words and they sank deep in my heart, knowing I would have this fortunate opportunity to be with my little one and focus on him, not worry about the impacts financially his arrival would cause my family, that I would have a job to return to, and most importantly, that I was supported by my team members. Then I thought about all the people who are not afforded this same opportunity, all the emotions and worries they must have during a time where their focus should be on their family. So I appreciate, probably more than words can appropriately describe, my boss and my mayor for taking the lead on leave locally. I am proud to work on his behalf in this great city where the sun shines on all. And I'm thankful for our president for highlighting this important issue and for the Secretary of Labor for taking the lead on leave and realizing by supporting workers, not just our families, our economy is strengthened. It is now my distinct honor and pleasure to introduce to you our United States Secretary of Labor, the Honorable Thomas Perez.
Thank you so much. You did a great job.
Emotional.
This is an emotional issue. Thank you so much. I hate to follow people like you who do such a good job because we can talk numbers and stats. This is about people. People who are sitting up at night around the kitchen table worried about their child who's sick and whether they've got to make a choice between the job they need and the child they love. Choices that no one else in the world, in the industrialized world at least, has to make, but choices that all too frequently are the case here. So Mayor, thank you for your leadership. You did win the boss lottery. You know that? And if you work at C2 Bank or with the Tampa Rays, you won the boss lottery as well. But you know, you shouldn't have to win the boss lottery to be able to take care of a sick kid. And you shouldn't have to win the boss lottery or the geographic lottery to take care of a sick parent as they age and allow them to age with dignity. And that's why we're here. We're here to talk about a real staple of middle-class economics. I travel around the country listening to people discuss how to build an economy that lives for everyone. That's what the president has instructed us to do, and that's what we're doing. And I learn so much every day. I spend so much time talking to elected officials, for instance. And Mayor, I want to commend you for making this truly a city of opportunity. That's not just a phrase, that's a value set. And you and members of the council and so many others have put those values into action. And you know what? Local and state governments are often those incubators of innovation, building opportunity in ways that our all too frequently dysfunctional Congress is unable and unwilling to do. And I want to thank you to our colleagues in the business community, because everywhere I go, I talk to business leaders, you know, like the president of the Rays, like the president of C2 Bank, and they always tell me that the high road is indeed the smart road. That C1, I'm sorry, so sorry, my bad. And, you know, people like Trevor, you know, he told me his story upstairs, and it's a compelling story. And what I said to him is, I really admire people who never forget where they came from. And that's what Trevor is about. But this is not an act of charity by Trevor. This is an act of enlightened self-interest. And I hear from businesses across the country, whether it's C1, whether it's the Tampa Rays, whether it's Costco, whether it's Southwest Airlines, they understand that when you take care of your workers, it's good for your workers, it's good for your business, it's good for your bottom line. That's what we call a stakeholder economy. And I talk to workers all the time, because they tell me that they want to be a good worker and they want to be a good parent. They want to be a good son and daughter to their aging parents. They want to make sure that when they give birth, they can celebrate the most remarkable moment of their life and celebrate it for weeks ahead without having to worry about whether they have to finance the next 8 weeks with a credit card because they were unpaid while they were off. That's the world we live in. And you know, the reality is, in the rest of the industrialized world, it's much easier to be a good parent and a good worker, because we are the only industrialized nation on earth with no national paid leave law of any kind. And every day around this country, parents are putting sick children on the school bus because they can't afford to miss work. People are going to work as a waiter or a waitress in a restaurant even though they're sick, and even though they know that it's probably not a good idea from a public health perspective for someone who's sick to be serving food, or someone who's sick to be a nurse or another medical professional at a hospital, but they have no choice. And moms are going without a paycheck in the aftermath of a C-section because, again, they had no paid leave. Or parents such as Shawana Smith, who joins us here today, a resident of this community, who made the right choice because family is always first. And that choice she made to take care of a sick kid cost her her job. That's a choice that should never be made. And I've heard from thousands of people across this country. And I think about how we have changed as a nation. And you know what? We're in this modern family world, but we've got these leave it a beaver rules in place. And we've got to understand that it's time to change. And I'll tell you, I've traveled the world talking about this issue and learning about this issue. And everywhere else I go, they've understood that we live in a modern family universe. And if you go overseas, and I've been to Australia, I've been to Germany, I've been to the UK, I've been to Canada, it's not an ideological issue there. It's not a partisan issue. It's just plain common sense. It's just plain economic self-interest. The center-right government in Australia defeated the left-center government that was in power on a platform of expanding paid leave for their residents. That's how they won the election. That's how the world looks at this issue. It's not simply an issue for families, it's also an issue for business. It's a matter of enlightened self-interest. Companies that offer family-friendly policies benefit from greater worker morale and productivity. I'm confident that C1 is not only low in turnover, but they're high in resumes because everyone wants to work there. And I'm also confident because this guy told me that other people want to do business there because they want to know that the person serving them is getting treated fairly. So the high road is indeed the smart road. It's true for the Tampa Rays, and thank God you beat the Yankees. I will clap to that for the rest of the day because there's nothing more enjoyable for me than watching the Yankees lose. But that's a different conversation for a different time. But I will say this, and I'll give you an example. Again, Canada, a center-right government. In the year 2000, the labor force participation of women in Canada and women in the United States between the ages of 25 and 54 was basically equal. We had equal labor force participation rates. Today, Canada is about 8 points higher, in large measure because they have generous paid leave policies. And so just to put that in perspective, if we had simply kept pace with Canada, we'd have 5.5 million more women in the workplace today. 5.5 million more women paying into the Social Security and Medicare trust funds. 5.5 million more women helping to make America the best nation it is. When women succeed, America succeeds. When women succeed, families succeed. And when we get more women in the workplace, like the two women behind me, you know what? It's good for business, it's good for local government, it's good for communities. So one thing we know is that our antiquated paid leave policies at a national level are leaving big money on the table. Our current laws are keeping women out of the workplace, keeping families out of the workplace, because this isn't just a women's issue. This is a parent issue, this is a family issue, this is a business issue, because we're losing talent, and we don't want to lose talent. We work our best when we feel the full team. That's true if you're the Tampa Rays. Used to be Tampa Bay, the Tampa Rays. Okay, but that's also true in any business. And that's why the president has made this such a priority. There's a bill in Congress called the Healthy Families Act, which would allow workers in businesses with 15 or more employees to earn up to 7 paid sick leave days a year, so they can recover from illness, access preventive care, provide care to a sick family member, or frankly, attend school meetings related to a child's health condition or perhaps a disability. And the president is proposing other investments on this issue. And I'll tell you, this issue of federal paid leave, I am certain, is a when question, not an if question, because it's the right thing to do and it's the smart thing to do. And we're seeing it done at a local level. We're seeing it already done at a business level. Today, the Secretary of Navy announced that he's unveiling a proposal calling for the doubling of 12 to 12 weeks the amount of paid maternity leave a sailor or Marine can take. Facebook today announced new minimum standards for contractors and vendors they do business with, including sick time and a $4,000 new child benefit for new parents who don't receive paid paternity leave, parental leave, I should say. Microsoft recently announced a new policy requiring suppliers to give workers 15 days of paid leave each day. These businesses are doing the right thing and they're doing the smart thing. They all studied it before they did it and understood that it was the right thing to do and indeed the smart thing to do. But as I said earlier, you shouldn't have to win the boss lottery, or you shouldn't have to work in a progressive community like St. Petersburg to enjoy these benefits. These benefits should be available everywhere, plain and simple, end of story. 5 states have acted, California, New Jersey, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, and Connecticut, on these issues. Florida hasn't. Not only that, but Florida enacted a law that prevents local governments from doing the right thing on paid leave, on minimum wage, and on other things. And that's unfortunate. And I hope that changes. And I salute you, Mayor, for making sure that this is available to your city workers. You're setting the right tone on this and so many issues. And so I'm looking forward to heading down to C1 in a little while to hear from more employers and more workers about what they're doing. But I have absolutely no doubt that what you are doing here today in St. Petersburg, the city of opportunity, is going to be done someday soon in Washington, D.C. to make it the land of opportunity for everyone. Thank you very much for your leadership. Thank you for inviting me down here. And es un honor estar aquí con ustedes, hablando sobre este desafío tan importante, sobre la necesidad de pasar el propósito federal envolviendo tiempo pagado. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you very much.